Stop wasting your money on factory tool holders. Today we're turning a chunk of scrap steel into 2 custom tool holders, taking another step towards becoming self-sufficient in the shop while saving hundreds of dollars. A good lathe setup needs at least a half a dozen tool holders if you want to be efficient. Buying them all name brand will cost you well over $1,000. Even cheap imports add up fast. But if you have some scrap steel, a mill, and a lathe, you don't need to buy them. Step 1 is getting our steel into roughly the size we need. The bandsaw takes care of this in no time flat. Now if you try to cut out this entire shape using just a dovetail cutter, you're going to snap a very expensive tool, ruin your finish, and probably swear a lot. Instead, we start by hogging out the bulk of the waste with a standard 1/2-inch end mill. We're essentially digging a rectangular trench. This takes 90% of the heavy lifting off our specialized cutter. With the slot cleared, it's time for the star of the show. The make or break part of this build is the 60-degree dovetail. Because dovetail cutters don't have center cutting teeth, we need to feed in from the side. We use 1018 steel here because it's cheap and easy to machine. I can hear some of you thinking, 1018 is way too soft, it's going to get dings. And you're right. Here's a little secret. 1018 case hardens beautifully, and that process is well within the capabilities of a well-stocked workshop. I don't mind if my tool holders have a few battle scars, but you could use 4140 if you want to make them indestructible. Just be sure to buy it pre-hardened, as it will be extremely challenging to heat treat this geometry without warping the dovetail. I've got a couple different dovetail cutters, but usually end up using this one I bought from Shars. It has 3 indexable carbide inserts, and it's a bit more forgiving of feeds and speeds than the high-speed steel dovetail cutters. Dovetail cutters in particular are harder to get right because of the change in diameter of the cutter. Let's look at the math on this dovetail cutter for a second. The top of the tool has a much smaller circumference than the bottom. Because the whole tool is spinning at the same RPM, if you set your speeds and feeds to the small end, you will literally melt the teeth off the large end of the tool. That is why we drop the RPMs way down and use plenty of cutting oil. You want to hear a nice even cut, no squealing or screeching, just an even hum. If we overshoot this cut, we just made some heavy-duty paperweights. We are aiming for precision fit here, so patience pays off. On the final pass, we need to sneak up on the dimension. While I added a DRO to this antique mill, we won't blindly rely on our digital readout. The true test is the fit on the Aloris CA tool post that we're making these for. We're going to sneak up on that perfect slide-on lock. Now that the dovetail is done, we need a slot for the tools to sit in and a way to lock them down. We're going to dig this trench with the same shovel we use for the bulk of the roughing and the dovetail slot. We are drilling and tapping for standard set screws. No special hardware required, just bog standard Allen set screws and some all-thread cut to size and deburred on the 2x72 belt grinder that we've been building. Being a hoarder of old bolts, nuts, and lots of other random hardware means I'm using what's already in my drawer. Every guy with a workshop has the drawer. You know, the one full of rusty grade 8 bolts, random brass fittings, and Allen screws from furniture you threw away 10 years ago. Today, all that hoarding pays off. We match the threads to what we have on hand, which saved us a trip to the hardware store and keeps us on budget. Before you go buy new, always check the junk drawer first. When you buy a standard mass-produced tool holder off the shelf, you're forced to work within somebody else's design. But when you make them yourself, customization becomes your superpower. Think about it. How many times have you been working on a project and wish you had a rigid tool holder specifically sized for an unusual parting blade, or a custom indexing tool? When you are the manufacturer, you aren't boxed into a catalog. You can engineer out the flex, optimize the stick out, and machine the geometry to fit your exact workflow and your specific lathe. There's a unique kind of pride that comes from turning a raw block of steel into a dedicated solution for a problem you were facing just an hour earlier. When you learn to make the tools that make the parts, your capability in the shop completely changes. You stopped adapting your projects to fit your tools, and you start adapting your tools to fit your imagination. Plus, it changes how you look at the raw materials sitting under your workbench. That scrap chunk of medium carbon steel isn't just clutter anymore. It's a future fixture, a specialized geometry, a rock-solid tool holder waiting to happen. Every time you cut a chip with a tool you built with your own 2 hands, it reinforces the fact that you aren't just an operator relying on factory-made gear. You're a builder, a problem solver, and the absolute authority on what happens at your lathe. Now let's get this height adjustment stuck in with a little help from the hot metal glue gun. Cold blue isn't a true industrial black oxide or heat treatment, but it protects the steel from moisture in your hands and prevents flash rusting in a damp shop. The trick to a good cold blue finish is total degreasing. Hit it with some brake cleaner first, don't touch it with your bare fingers, apply the blue, and then douse it in oil to seal it. I really like Ballistol for this. It's food grade, so when it inevitably gets into your mouth, it's completely safe. It soaks in to a nice matte finish and gives it that classic seasoned shop look. And it looks just as good as a factory quick change, and it works exactly the same. Let's look at the damage. Factory holder, between $90 and $250. This DIY holder, $9.50 a steel. A few leftover screws, and 2 hours of pure shop therapy. I know some of you are thinking, I could just buy it, pay for it with a few extra hours at work, and while my job is interesting, it's still work. Time spent in the shop is also still labor intensive, but it doesn't feel like work. It's relaxing and therapeutic. You let the world slip away and focus on 1/1000th of an inch at a time. If you want to stop paying retail for your shop upgrades, the blueprint is right here. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. What worked? What could be better? Like everything else I try, I'm learning as I go. I'm just out here building cool stuff and hoping it inspires you to get out there and do the same.